WWE and TNA shocked the wrestling world when Jordynne Grace showed up on NXT. She stepped to the NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez and challenged her for a title match at NXT Battleground. This marked the second appearance by Jordynne Grace in WWE, as the first one was way back at the 2024 Royal Rumble. Wrestling fans back then got so excited about the potential of TNA and WWE crossing over, but nothing ever happened after that. Until now it is. Reports have been coming out over the past few days stating that there will be more crossover events between TNA and WWE in the coming days, so that got me thinking. What sort of dream matches could we see between TNA and WWE? I mean, there's so many possibilities that I needed to sit down here today and make a video with all of you on it. But before I get to my fantasy booking between these two promotions, I must start by saying that it is going to be as realistic as possible when it comes to the booking, all right? Sorry, Roman fans, there won't be no Moose versus Roman. But before we get to that, drop a like on this video, make sure you're subscribed, and turn those notifications on so you don't miss an upload. But let's get to it. Here are the matches that I would love to see between TNA and WWE. All right, let's start things off with a match that has already been announced, which is Jordynne Grace versus Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship at NXT Battleground. This match itself is going to cook, and I'm so happy that they're going in this direction because Jordynne Grace, big mama pump, big strong girl, absolutely going to tear the house down with Roxanne Perez. Like, I honestly can't wait to see what they come up with in this match. But that got me thinking, if there was another match that we could have for Jordynne Grace, like let's say Jordynne Grace and Roxanne go out there, they tear the house down, and Roxanne Perez retains the NXT Championship, which is probably the likeliest scenario in this case. Granted, would be amazing if Jordynne Grace won the NXT Women's Championship, but let's say Jordynne Grace loses and they want another match over on TNA, maybe for the TNA Women's Knockouts Championship. How about Io Sky versus Jordynne Grace? I think those two could just tear the house down. I think it would be a great pay-per-view match. And like, honestly, you'd tune in to watch it, right? You would go over to TNA and tune in to Io Sky versus Jordynne Grace. So for me, if we have another match available for Jordynne Grace, I want to see Grace versus Io Sky. But now on to a man that TNA fans are very familiar with, and that is the Phenomenal One. The man who helped build the company from the ground up, the dude who was there from day one, AJ Styles. And if we have a WWE TNA crossover event, we have to have an AJ Styles match, okay? Like, this is like the law, okay? Maybe it's not actually written in the law somewhere. If it is, then somebody link me the law, but it's the law, all right? If AJ Styles has the possibility of showing up in TNA for a crossover event, it needs to happen. But the question is, against who, right? You could go against Moose, the TNA champion, and I don't think anybody would bat an eye. You could go up against Mustafa Ali, the X Division champion, but I don't think that's the case. Guys, if I was the person with the pencil, I would book Joe Hendry versus AJ Styles. Now, the reason I say that is because I think Joe Hendry has so much content to pull from AJ Styles. Think about it. He could go way back into the archives of TNA and make fun of him for something from like 20 years ago or whatever, right? He has so many things that he could write about. He has so many songs he could come up with. And this would enrage AJ Styles. Like, how dare this little pipsqueak from TNA be making fun of me, the lone wolf AJ? And he might just absolutely destroy Joe Hendry. Or maybe Joe Hendry gets one over on AJ and is part of a longer term story. But regardless, I need to see this match. I think the matchup would be fine. But I think the promos, the build, everything that you need for like a main event feeling program, this would have it. So I have Joe Hendry versus AJ Styles. Now, while that's all fine and dandy for AJ, we need a match that can absolutely steal the show. A match that will get Dave Meltzer giving it 5-6 stars. This one right here, I don't think anybody will disagree with me on. We need to see Chad Gable versus Josh Alexander. And like, can you just imagine the graps in that match? The back and forth action, the moves we would see. Oh my God. It is an instant classic waiting to happen. I need Josh Alexander versus Chad Gable. So please, WWE and TNA, make this one of those matches that you give us if there is a crossover event. Like, this is money. This is mega money. Like 5 stars waiting to happen. Now that brings me to the TNA champion Moose. I mentioned him when thinking about a match for AJ Styles, and that would be a big matchup. Mr. TNA versus the TNA champion kind of writes itself, right? But with me going in the direction of Joe Hendry, we need someone to step up to Moose. And I think there's one man from NXT that fits the bill, and he is a champion in his own right, so we could market this as champion versus champion. And it's also a battle of the meat. It's Oba Femi versus Moose, and I think this one could tear the house down. Oba Femi is a freak in that ring. Moose is also a freak in that ring. And when these two big men slap in the ring, geez, I mean, there might be an earthquake legitimately. I need to see this matchup. Moose, Oba Femi, one-on-one. I don't know who goes over. That's a very difficult one to pick. Maybe you could have Oba Femi be screwed over by someone else distracting him, or vice versa with Moose. I don't think you'd get a clean finish to this one, but regardless, I need to see this match, Moose versus Oba Femi. Now we're going to get into what I want to call the Battle of Laval, Quebec, Canada. It is Sami Zayn versus Mike Bailey one-on-one for the very first time ever. And tell me you don't want to see that match. Tell me you wouldn't be highly entertained. This one would be so much fun. Mike Bailey is an incredible talent in that ring. Sami Zayn is obviously one of my all-time favorites. And I just think that this match could slap. It sounds good on paper. You got that battle of respect, right? It doesn't need to be a feud. It's a battle of respect between Sami and Mike Bailey to find out who the best performer from Laval, Quebec, Canada is, or something like that, however you want to market it. But yeah, this one to me needs to happen. Sami Zayn, Mike Bailey, one-on-one. Now, I was looking up and down the tag team roster of TNA trying to think who could go up against the Judgment Day. And I wasn't really coming up with too many names that I thought would be the most exciting matchup until I came across ABC. Talk about some history with the Bullet Club, eh? Finn Balor being the man who started the Bullet Club and ABC now in the Bullet Club. Like, I mean, that kind of writes itself for a very, very easy matchup on TNA or even on NXT if you wanted to, or on WWE TV. It could happen anywhere legitimately, most likely on TNA. This could also be the Good Brothers versus ABC. They could do that. We've seen the Good Brothers in NXT lately, and again, the connection with the Bullet Club could kind of be like when the Good Brothers went to TNA and faced Finn Juice for a little bit. Could be in that same direction. But for me, if we're looking for a more exciting match, if we're looking for something fun for the Judgment Day to do during this TNA WWE crossover, I'd love to see Judgment Day versus ABC. All right, now on to WWE's Women's Champion. We're going to talk a little bit about Bayley right here. I think Bayley has an opportunity to do something very fun for WWE and to go over to TNA during all of this as the Women's Champion and represent WWE over there. I see her going over there and taking on maybe a couple of people. You know, I don't think it would be just a one-off run. It might lead to a bigger match. It may not. But certainly it will help get eyes on TNA. But the one match I really want to see between Bayley and, well, I'm just going to say it, Masha Slamovich. I think Masha versus Bayley could tear the house down. This needs to be a match, all right? Whether it's in WWE, whether it's over in TNA, whether it's in NXT, or wherever they do it, I need to see this match. I think Masha is an incredible talent, and I think Bayley could bring the best out of her. So I want to see that. Masha versus Bayley. All right, this next match here, we have a former WWE guy versus a former TNA guy. They've just now switched places. We have Mustafa Ali, the X Division champion from TNA, versus Wes Lee from NXT for the X Division title. And I'm going to say this match happens in NXT. All right. Now, I don't think Ali's going to lose to Wes Lee. We don't have to talk about the booking and all that stuff. It could happen over in TNA. It could be Wes Lee's return to TNA and all that stuff. But I think the matchup itself is going to be incredible. Like, we need to see this type of X Division match, which is high flying and showcasing the skills of the mid-card. And Mustafa Ali and Wes Lee are the epitome of that. They're high octane, exciting, and fun to watch. We need to see this matchup, Ali versus Wes Lee. Now, another match that I thought could be a lot of fun could be First Class, which is Top Dollar and Rich Swann, versus The New Day. I think the promos back and forth between the two would be a lot of fun. It would make for some great TV, and it would help put some heat on the upcoming match between the two. Even if this is just a one-off match, it doesn't need to be anything more than that. It would be a lot of fun, would be great for Top Dollar to get a bit of a rub from The New Day, and a lot of eyes would be on it because The New Day is over AF. So yeah, First Class, New Day, I would love to see that one. Now, the one thing missing with my booking right here is that I don't really have a Legends match on the card, right? We don't have a guy who has been there, done that, and kind of just sticking around hoping to put over the next generation of superstars. We need a match like this on this card, and I think we have the perfect one. We can do the Battle of the Spears. Who's got the best spear in the business? The Gore from Rhino versus Braun Breaker's, oh my god, I don't even know what to call it, hellacious, brutal, devastating spear. This needs to happen. Rhino versus Braun Breaker. I want to see them spear each other. I want to see just chaos all around the ringside. And obviously, Braun Breaker needs to go over the legend. But if we could write this match, if we could make this happen, I want to see it. Breaker, Rhino, one-on-one, book it. But now we're going to go on to our honorable mentions. These are matchups that probably could happen, would probably be a lot of fun, and I'm more than okay seeing, but I don't see it happening at like a big crossover event or something like that. This would be if like, WWE and TNA pursue a longer term relationship where it's like, hey, we can have a bit of a talent exchange. If we don't have something going on for this character over here, we can send them over your way, and maybe you can send someone to us for some training for a little bit, and then we send them back. Whatever it is they figure out. I don't know the extent of their partnership. But these are matchups that I could totally see happening in WWE and a TNA crossover event. So let's start off with Tatum Paxley versus Rosemary, right? This is just a battle of spooky girls right there. I don't see any reason why you couldn't put that match on. So Paxley, Rosemary, one-on-one. I got Bronson Reed versus Jake Something in a battle of the meat. I mean, tell me you wouldn't want to see Jake Something and Bronson Reed just slap meat in the center of the ring. You know they want to, right? You know you want to see it. And then we also got another battle of the meat, Hammerstone versus Ivar. Like, what? Come on, man. If Ivar's ready to go, Hammerstone and him could tear the house down. And then let's talk about another one. This is a battle of former tag team partners going up against each other. It's Trent Seven versus Tyler Bate, the Battle of Mustache Mountain yet again. If you're just booking a TV match, this would be a lot of fun to see happen over in TNA. And the last one, that could be a pay-per-view match. In fact, I probably should have put it in with the other matches that I put on here because it's that damn exciting. It's the Rascals from TNA versus Axiom and Nathan Frazer from WWE. Tell me this wouldn't be an incredible match. Axiom and Frazer, the NXT Tag Team Champions, versus the Rascals, one of the most exciting teams out there. Legitimately would be must-see, and I kind of need to see this happen. But let me know in the comments section who you guys want to see face off against each other in a TNA and WWE crossover event. It could be literally anyone, all right? We're just having fun here, and who knows what the relationship between TNA and WWE actually is. Like, I don't know if we're going to get like a full-fledged pay-per-view, if we're going to get full-fledged matches for like the next year. Who knows? It's an exciting time, though, to be a wrestling fan. But make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on. That way you don't miss any other videos in the future. Thanks for watching, and oh man, this is going to be a very, very exciting time.